On a safari ride at Animal Kingdom. Here we go. Oh, it's just the place. I thought it was like a mosquito or something.
Everyone has to consent, but like
Only if you're from Florida.
you're following the rules of Florida.
No, I'm not. I follow the rules. Yeah. Is it like a special bus?
Thank you, Warden. Alright, it's Monday, let's go. Well, Jumbo friends, my name is Kristen and I will be your safari guide on today's journey through the Hawaii Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Is this anyone's first safari with us?
First time.
Awesome, new explorers, love to see it. Now, if you have a camera or cell phone and you're planning on taking some pictures on the safari, I highly suggest putting it in a sport or action mode. We will be able to stop for some animals, but not too long, and a lot of the animals here you'll see move quite fast. So, now if you look above your head, you'll also find some animal spotting guides, and it'll help you identify some of the animals we see on the reserve. Now, we're not going to see all of the animals, but usually we have some pretty good luck seeing a lot of them. Make sure you keep a tight hold on all your loose articles and belongings. If anything falls out of the truck, we cannot go back to get it. We have a lot to cram in on this safari and no time to dawdle. Now our first stop today, we're going to be headed into the Little Ituri Forest. Now forest ecosystems are incredibly important here in Africa. The dense foliage and trees and bushes provide great cover for animals that like to hide in it. So keep your eyes open, they can be hiding anywhere. Not seeing anyone on the left, but out on the right, if you look there, that is an okapi. Now many people think okapi are related to zebras because of their striped hindquarters. In fact, they're not. They are the closest relatives to the giraffe. Put their skeletons side by side, they'll look almost identical, save for the fact that obviously giraffes are much bigger. Now those stripes on their legs do serve a purpose. They're a type of disruptive camouflage. It helps them blend into the forest.
It's hard to film it.
Predators can't see them too well. Lets them move around without detection. see a watering hole coming up. Usually that's a good spot to spot some animals. But is there any animals we're specifically excited to see today? See if I can make a little magic happen. Crocodiles. Well, usually we know it's a pretty good spot for those, so I'll make sure we drive by them. Lions, I'm not too sure if they'll be out. Usually they're out at night, but we'll see. You never know. Like I said, the animals are free to roam, free to do whatever they like. Alright, if you look up on your left, kind of hugging that left wall, all the way on the left-hand side of that rock, you can see a black rhino, kind of napping there. That's a black rhino. Now I know that's a black rhino. He's one of the smaller rhinos we have on the reserve. I think at about 3,000 pounds. Now there's less than 5,000 black rhinos left in the world. Ooh, we got a bongo crossing here. We'll just listen. But yeah, there's less than 5,000 black rhinos left in the world.
He's just gonna chill out.
Fortunately, these guys are
I was a bunch of
extinction
them.
for their horns, which are made of keratin. Same stuff that our hair and fingernails are made out of. And yes, crossing in front of us, these are the ghosts of the forest. These are the bongos. We'll go slowly and make sure they, well, you can see them on the right and left-hand sides of the truck. We'll go by nice and slow. Well, like I said, they are known as the ghosts of the forest because they are rarely seen, so it's really cool that we're seeing these guys. Now both males and females will have horns. Helps them maneuver about the brush, they can clear a path for themselves.
That's cool.
Another one out in the distance there.
Should have brought the other one.
Now folks, we are headed into the Safi River at the edge of the forest. Now, I happen to know a popular hangout spot for some hippos. So maybe we'll get lucky and see a few here. Oh, look at that. This is definitely an unusual sight during the day. Hippos usually come out at night and feed, so that's a really good view of a hippo right there. They'll spend most of their days in the water, helps keep them cool. Now hippos can swim, but usually they just stand in about hippo deep water and walk along the bottom.
Cream.
Keep going, see if we can find any more, usually where there's one. Sometimes we can find a float. That is what we call a group of hippos. There's another one in the water right there. Now hippos can hold their breath for about 8 minutes at a time underwater.
Vultures.
And if you look on the island there, those big white birds, those are pink-backed pelicans. They get their names. Oh, if you look closely there, that group of hippos, there's a little baby hippo right there. Poking up. Really cool. There's another hippo too coming around the bend, kind of walking in the back there. Oh, the hippos are quite active right now.
Oh, the vultures.
Now for the crocodile lovers, I think I have some good news for you. If you look out on your left,
Walk on that?
those are Nile
That would be
crocodile.
so cool.
Nile crocodile can get to be about 16 feet long. They're incredibly powerful predators, but most of the time they'll eat fish or other aquatic life. So the Nile crocodile have been known to take down a lone zebra or wildebeest that comes a little too close to the water's edge. Oftentimes though, with a meal that big, they won't need to eat for an entire week. Now that was a lot of excitement there in the forest, but unfortunately we're heading out onto the savannah, but the savannah is another great spot to see some animals.
Where are they stuff?
Now coming up on your right-hand side as we round this bend, you'll see kind of a funny-looking tree. It looks like someone dropped it there, roots up. That's a baobab tree. They'll go leafless about 9 months out of the year. That's one of the ways they conserve water. Another way they conserve water, they store it in that thick bark. During droughts, animals like elephants are known to dig into the bark as a water source. Often gives it the nickname, the Tree of Life. Now folks, this is one of my absolute favorite views on the reserve. I love the savanna. It doesn't matter who's out, who's about. It's always a beautiful sight. Constantly changing. So let's see who we can find. See if anyone can guess my favorite animal. Yeah, I see a giraffe over there. But bonus points if we see my favorite animal, if anyone can guess before I say it. No worries, we'll make our way around to the giraffe. Usually where there's one, we can find a few more. Now if you look out on your left, not quite hyenas, these guys are African wild dogs. Also known as painted dogs for their patches on their coat. Now, these guys will often live in packs of about 5 to 15, led by a dominant male and a dominant female. Now they are Africa's most successful hunters, often clocking in a success rate of about 90% on their hunts. For reference, lions are only successful about every 1 in 15 hunts. They'll work together to chase their prey down to exhaustion. Now if you look out on your left, sitting out in that field, those are sable antelope. Now sable antelope are the emblem animal of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now those long horns are mainly used for defense and as a deterrent to keep lions from pouncing on their backs. There's another one kind of standing out there, away from his group. Now if you look to your left and your right, you can see some termite mounds. Those tall structures there. They are made of mud, spit, and dung. In the hot African sun, they'll solidify to be about as hard as concrete. Taller animals like the giraffe that we see up here on the left will use them as scratching posts once they get worn down. Smaller animals will use them as lookout perches. So there's one giraffe.
Hello, guy.
That's a Maasai giraffe. I can tell that from the irregular pattern of their patches. Unlike the reticulated giraffes, who have a more net-like structure to their patches. Giraffes will stand about 18 to 20 feet tall. And if you look out on the hill there, those are some Patterson's eland. Patterson's eland are the largest antelope we have on the reserve. They stand about 6 feet tall at the shoulders for the males, and they have a more spiral-like horn, unlike some of the other antelopes we've seen. And out on your right here, I see a lone wildebeest. Maybe he got separated from his herd. Wildebeest are, that's a white-bearded wildebeest, they are incredible migrators. Oftentimes they'll migrate in groups of about 1.5 million and they'll go about 500 to 1,000 miles. We have another giraffe crossing the road over here. You can get some good, better views of the eland too. Beautiful creatures. Now, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't hear anyone point out my favorite animal. Over here on your right, this is the Ankole cattle. Now you may be asking me, why is that my favorite with so many cool animals here on the reserve? Well, these guys are the only domesticated animals we have on the reserve. And their horns may look really heavy, but they're actually mostly hollow inside. They'll contain a honeycomb-like structure filled with a lot of tiny little blood vessels. They'll pump blood out to those horns where it gets cooled down and recirculated back in their body, cooling their bodies off. So I just think they're really cool. There's another good view of the giraffes there. Now when a baby giraffe is born, they are welcomed into the world. Oh, there's another one out on your left. But baby giraffes are welcomed into the world with a nice 6-foot drop down to the ground. Nothing says welcome to great planet Earth like falling headfirst.
Wait for something to come right out of the grass.
We'll be up and walking within the first hour of life.
Oh, the road giraffes over there. It's really hard to film on this thing. Yeah, it's hard to film on this stuff. It's too like bobbly.
This stick helps though, right?
Now I
Yeah.
see an elephant coming up here on the right-hand side as we're going to make our way around the curve. And it's most likely a male elephant. Male elephants often will be the solitary ones, kind of cast out of the herd once they reach maturity to find their way. Oh, now if you look on your left-hand side too, you'll find the mandrills. Now mandrills are the largest monkeys in the world. They also are the most brightly colored. They are led by an alpha male, who is the largest and the brightest. The males a lot of times can reach up to 100 pounds. The females will be closer to about 30 pounds.
The view of the elephant. That's cool. Looks like steps in
See if
there.
maybe we can get a better view of the elephant, though.
Whoa.
No worries if not. I know another popular hangout spot for one of the herds that likes to hang out around Harambe. Well, not quite, but no worries, folks, for all the elephant fans out there. I know a pretty good spot. We're just going to take this little shortcut over this sketchy bridge. No worries.
Oh, that is a little sketchy looking.
Never sounds too good. They really should fix that.
Probably just shut it down.
Looks like we're coming up on some red clay pits. Thankfully my shortcut led out exactly where I thought it would. Red clay pits are often a sign that elephants might be near. Those tusk marks are an even better sign. Now elephants will actually eat this clay. It provides them with vitamins and minerals that aren't normally, they can't normally get in their diet. It kind of acts as a multivitamin. If you look out on your left hand side, I see the herd out there. We're going to pull up a little bit, maybe get a better view. See who we can find.
Oh, there we go. This one.
One elephant out there. Now elephants live in a matriarchal society. They're led by a dominant female who is often the oldest and wisest of the herd. Now the herds usually have complex social structures. They work together to raise the young and protect each other. We're gonna get a really good view of an elephant right coming up on your left. I'll stop for a quick second. There she is. Beautiful, beautiful creatures. Now oftentimes elephants you'll see them covered in dirt or mud. Oftentimes they'll throw that on themselves. It acts as a natural sunscreen and it cools them down. Another cool thing that I find fascinating about elephants is just in their trunks alone, they have more muscles than we have in our entire bodies. Gives them great dexterity in that limb. So great that they can actually pick up a pen or even something as small as a dime. I wish I had that kind of skill when I'm trying to get out my wallet at the grocery store. Change just goes everywhere. Now if you look on your left, out on that island, those are the greater flamingo. And they're not greater necessarily because they're the pinkest flamingo, they're not. The greater, they're one of the biggest. Now they actually don't get their pink coloration until later in life. When the chicks hatch, they'll be more of a gray in color. They get their pink color from their diets. It comes from the carotene and brine shrimp that they eat.
Zebras.
Down on your left, we have a lot of activity out in the mudflats here. See some crash of rhinos out in the distance. That's what we call a group of rhinos. We'll pull around and get a better view of them. And we also see some zebras. Those are grand zebras. And on your right, kind of walking away, there's an ostrich. Maybe we'll catch up with the ostrich as we come around. Now zebras, each one has a very unique stripe pattern, very similar to fingerprints. And it's not just their coat that's colored, it is their skin as well. Their skin is striped as well. Now here's a really good view of the crash of white rhinos. I could tell they're white rhinos because they're bigger than the black rhinos we saw. On average, these guys will get about 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. Now you may be looking at them and being like, why are they called white rhinos? They don't look too white to me. Well, their name actually comes from the Afrikaans word wit, meaning wide, in reference to their mouths. They have very wide mouths used to graze on the grass. But somewhere when it was being translated in the Western world, we came to know them as the white rhinos. And because we don't like fixing our mistakes, we just let the name stick. Now if you look on your left-hand side, all the way up on that hill, if you look really closely, more towards the back of left there, you can see a couple of cheetahs. All the way up there. If you look closely, you can see their tails kind of flipping around.
I see behind the fence.
Now cheetahs are the fastest land mammals. They can reach speeds of up to 60 miles an hour. Though they cannot maintain that speed for very long. Oftentimes it'll only be in very quick spurts. And when they are reaching those high speeds, they'll use their powerful muscular tails as a sort of boat rudder. Helps keep them balanced.
What's this over here?
Now coming up here on the side of the kopie, this is what we call that big rock formation. We have some water buck. Now water buck usually can't be found too far from the water, hence their name, unlike some other antelope. Oh, sorry, I will let you continue grazing. Didn't mean to disturb your lunch. Now water buck also have the ability to secrete a very greasy, oily substance that they use to coat their fur. It helps waterproof it, since they spend a lot of time in the water. Now, like I said, that big rock formation, it is a kopie. They're popular hangout spots on the savannah for big predators like lions. See some ostrich out in the distance, but I think if we go around, we'll get a better view. Now, lions are primarily nighttime hunters, so if you're looking to see some lions, I highly suggest coming back for one of our nighttime safaris. They usually never disappoint. The lions do spend about 16 to 20 hours a day sleeping or resting, so that's probably where they are right now. I don't blame them. Not seeing anyone else. We'll go up and visit our friends, the ostriches.
Do a good water sound like that.
On your right-hand side, under the trees, you'll find some ostriches. They are the world's largest birds. But they do not fly. They'll use their wings to steer themselves as they run. A lot of times they can reach speeds of about 40 miles an hour. And yes, those are ostrich eggs. Each ostrich egg weighs about 3 pounds each.
Oh wow, that's
equivalent
crazy.
of about 2 dozen chicken eggs. Now, rumor has it that a man, full-grown man, can stand on top of an egg and it won't break. I have not tried it, no.
I heard they're actually pretty good.
I do not advise you try it either. I say we just go with it. You do not want to make an ostrich angry. No, they have incredibly powerful kicks, too. That's how they fight off predators. They are incredibly fast, yeah. Like I said, about 40 miles an hour they can reach. That is a lot faster than I can run. By about like 30 miles. 30, 40 miles. I don't run a lot. Now we are entering the Magadi Glen. This is one of the newer parts of the reserve. Let's see who we can find around here.
Some birds.
Coming up on your right-hand side, there's one standing on the rock and one standing on a log. Those are yellow-billed storks. Now, storks are carnivorous birds. They will eat fish and reptiles and amphibians and other aquatic life, but they also will eat smaller birds sometimes. I don't think they eat butterflies, no. Not those guys, at least. some bad news for you. It looks like we're coming to the end of our safari. Oh, I know. So sad, but don't worry. If these weren't enough animals for you, highly suggest checking out the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. When I drop you back off at the village, it'll be just a short walk from the exit. Guess what you can find there?
Gorillas.
Gorillas, very good. I knew I had a smart group on board. Now folks, a lot of the animals we saw out on the reserve today aren't endangered or threatened, and if you're like me, you may be wondering, well, what can I do to help them? They are all the way in Africa, and you may be living in a totally different part of the world. Well, the Disney Conservation Fund funds research all throughout the globe, helps a lot of the animals we saw here today. If you'd like to make a contribution, you can talk to any of the villagers in Harambe. They'll be able to help you out. But if you're more of a hands-on person, I know I am, there's a lot of little things you can do in your everyday lives, things as small as just educating yourselves on proper recycling techniques, or even building a natural habitat in your own backyard for your own local wildlife. They all may seem small when you're doing it, but if you get a lot of people to do a lot of small things, suddenly you got some pretty big things on your hands. So no action is too small.